Welcome back. It's Mondays with Mark Allen. An amazing weekend of racing. All over the world events took place. Things are really coming back. We're back to racing. In Australia, Ironman 70.3 Cairns unfortunately had a tragedy. Dave Hayes passed away on the swim. His family, his friends were saying this was his passion. He was a great swimmer. My condolences to Dave, his family, and his friends. In the full distance race that took place down there, Kylie Simpson won for the women. For the men, Max Newman won, breaking 8 hours, 7:58:55, another sub-8 Ironman victory in the men's event. I wonder how many Ironmans throughout the year are going to be won with sub-8 hour victories. Just amazing. I was over on the Big Island of Hawaii for Ironman 70.3 Hawaii. I picked up a few pretty cool things. I picked up an Ohana dog tag. You wear it, then you give it to somebody else. I haven't worn it yet, but I'm going to put it on, and somebody's going to be receiving this at some point in the future. I love these. I picked up one of my favorite things at these races, a towel, Ironman 70.3. And, it talks about the distance. It shows you that it was on the Kohala coast, which is north of where the Ironman Hawaii World Championship takes place. Check this out. I picked up one of these. This was the hat that was going to go out last year to people who raced. 2020 Ironman 70.3 Hawaii. The race didn't take place. This is a collector's item. Nobody raced this event. It didn't take place. And this is interesting. This was the hat for this year, Ironman 70.3 Hawaii. There's no year on it. You know what? This is probably a safety net. Like, okay, we made this one, the race didn't take place. We're going to make this one this year in case it doesn't take place. The event took place 20 years from now. This hat is going to be a trivia question and worth a lot of money because people are going to go, what year was it that the only year that the year of the event was not put on the hat took place? 2021, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to win $1 million 20 years from now. In all seriousness, I love going back to the Big Island. It's such a reminder to me of where the real kickoff of triathlon took place. It was born on Oahu. There were other multi-sport events prior to that race in 1981 that took place on the Big Island. But 1982 Ironman World Championship, that's where triathlon really took off. Ironman took off. Everything about the race is seeped with the energy of the Big Island, the beauty of it, the vastness of it, the Hawaiian culture. Just a reminder to me of why triathlon is what it is, because it was born in such a place that is so special, so amazing. The race is hard. It's not easy. The race is difficult. Ironman World Championship is difficult. The Ironman 70.3 was difficult. There were incredible wins. So many people had to drop out, probably one of the biggest dropout rates ever. And part of that was because people just haven't had races and they're not prepared for conditions that are extreme. Like you get, the bike ride is in the second half of the bike course of the full Ironman distance race there, the difficult half of the bike course. And the winds were horrendous. A lot of people dropped out. The amazing thing to me was that a lot of people were cramping, not only in the event, but crossing the finish line and falling down with leg cramps and stomach cramps and calf cramps. And I'm just trying to figure out really what happened there.
Dr. Donald T. Quack here, and Mr. Mark Allen. The answer is very, very simple. You see, I work for the NIH. I'm the head of the National Cramping Committee because I did my residency and doctorship and all that kind of stuff in, what is it there, Galveston, Texas, University of Texas, Galveston. It is hot as hell and humid as a hothouse down there, and so a lot of people got cramping going on, so I'm an expert in that. So anyway, Mr. Mark Allen, Mr. Coach Dude, the reason those people were cramping, well, we found out the triathletes, a lot of that cramping is just because they're wound so damn tight, their brains all tied up in a knot, and they're just like tight, you know what I'm saying? But there's other people out there, they're actually like got this physiological thing going on where they're just low on sodium. And so my suggestion is you gotta take in a little extra salt. So my favorite are these organic corn dippers from Trader Joe's because they're like loaded with salt. I can't even read because I don't have my glasses on. Oh, wait, where the hell am I? Oh yeah, lots of salt in these things. So when you got them out there and you're out on the race course, you got to have some of these. And the best way to do it, I got to take some of these off. I hope you all aren't breathing the same air as me because I don't have COVID and I had the 2 vaccines and stuff, but you know, you never know. It could go through the YouTube, the internet kind of thing. I don't know how this damn COVID thing's working, but so you're out there on the course. You take some of these. Yep. You take a handful. You know, you do this before the race because you want to be ready to go. And you take them in. You stick them in the mask. It's kind of like a feed thing from the cow. We learned this in Texas. You stick them in there. And then anytime you start feeling cramp coming, you just like. It's like that. It's like a super feed system for salt. So try that out, everybody.
Well, Dr. Donald T. Quack, I don't know if that's what I'm going to tell the athletes that I coach at Mark Allen Coaching to do. Probably just, go with some more standard salt supplements that you can get during the race. Make sure your magnesium is up. Things like that, real sensible things. I don't think that's going to work for me. Anyway, the Ironman 70.3 Hawaii. It was a different kind of a race. The whole event was actually pretty socially distant, socially spaced. Here's what the room looked like where I gave my chats with a champ prior to the event, telling tips to the athletes. Definitely social spaced. The start was age group waves, but it was 3 athletes at a time, spread out 5 seconds per group of 3. So it actually spread the race out, which was kind of good, and people liked that. But again, very different kinds of things that were taking place. For me, flying over to Hawaii was actually a very different experience than I've also had ever, because I haven't been to the Big Island in quite a while, almost 2 years. And I got on the flight, and I was sitting next to the window, and another passenger sat down in the aisle seat. There was a seat between us, and she commented, "Boy, I hope this seat is open because that'll give us plenty of space." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great." The plane hadn't taken off yet. I had my ear pods in that have kind of like a noise cancellation thing, and I'd actually fallen asleep. The shade was down to kind of keep it dark. All of a sudden I feel this tap, 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 tap on my arm, and I jumped up because in COVID, nobody touches you, right? In fact, people will walk across the street to avoid even breathing the same air as you, and all of a sudden this passenger is tapping me on my shoulder, and she goes, "Can you open up that window because I want to see what's outside?" So I sure, I'll open it up, no problem. The plane takes off. I'm asleep. All of a sudden I'm woken by our seats rattling, and again this passenger has this backpack that must have weighed about 50 pounds, and she plopped it on the seat between us. The seats are shaking. She starts pulling stuff out. I got my eyes closed. I'm not watching this. And she's throwing stuff out of the backpack, and some of it's hitting me and landing on my side of the, that little invisible barrier called the armrest. And so I'm thinking, what's appropriate to do here? What's appropriate to say in this time where we're trying to kind of keep our distance from people?
Oh, hey, Tommy Buzzcut here, and hey, Mr. Mark Allen, you coach dude, I am gonna bust your chops here because you think you're like this Zen dude who's like so compassionate and understanding of everybody, but you judge that woman based on one simple act. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you not learn anything from this time of Black Lives Matter where we're trying to understand people by more than just one stupid little simple thing that maybe they did that you don't like? Well, let me tell you, this is how I approach it. I always try to ask at least a few questions to get to understand somebody before I go, yeah, you're kind of cool, or maybe I just don't dig your stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I strike up a conversation. I'm like, hey, do y'all watch TV? Of course, everybody watches TV. So you go do you watch Beavis and Butthead, or do you watch 60 Minutes? That tells a lot about a person. Or, I say, are you registered to vote? Did you vote in that last election? I go where it's really into the heart of things. And I ask them and they say, yeah. And I go, well, did you vote for bike lanes or fracking? You can learn a lot with a few little simple questions, and then figure out do you like that person? Are they good or not? And it's always your opinion against theirs, right? They always think they're a good person. So anyway, Mr. Mark Allen, when that passenger was like throwing their stuff across and like touching you and all that kind of stuff, well, here's how Tommy Buzzcut would have approached that kind of situation, because, I'm sure you're like, oh, I'm kind of like a Zen dude, and I'm not going to say anything to that woman because, we are all on this plane together, and, we're kind of like trying to understand each other and to be in a simple space together. So Tommy Buzzcut is like, I'm understanding, but I am not tolerant. So, you know what? The first time, like, she threw a little bit of her, like, socks or books or whatever, and it kind of, like, hit me. Well, I would have gotten back even Steven, you know what I'm saying? So I would have like waited till she settled in and started watching her iPad or whatever it was. And I would have like tapped her on the shoulder and gone, excuse me, but I've got kind of like a teeny weeny, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, a teeny weeny bladder thing going, and I may have to get up like 500,000 times during this flight. So excuse me, but could you stand up in the aisle while I quickly just go pee? She's like, okay, and then I would have sat there then like 400,000 million times more other times, and like, if the score did not feel even, and she's like got that big backpack and it's bouncing around, and what the heck does she have in there anyway, Mr. Mark Allen? But anyway, I would have like, okay, that's neutral space in there, that middle seat where no person's sitting. So I would have like said, excuse me, Miss Passenger, but I had like triple bypass surgery on this one knee, and I had a colonoscopy on this other knee, and like the doctor said, do not keep your knees bent on that flight. So could you possibly could we pull up these armrests, and I'm gonna have to put my legs straight out and my feet across your lap, and could you possibly give me a massage on my feet, because my feet are really sore. I was walking a lot today, and so I would have been like double boundary violator. But anyway, Mr. Mark Allen, I'm sure you just sat there.
Tommy, you're right. I thought this woman was like this boundary violator that was, that was her entire thing, that she was somebody that I just had nothing in common with and nothing that I wanted to do with. After we got off the flight, we were in baggage claim together, and we started talking, and she was actually one of the nicest people I've met. She was doing the race. She's fighting for life. She has cancer. She was doing Ironman 70.3. She had qualified for Kona. She's going to be doing that, deferred. Finally, now she's back in, if it takes place in October, which I'm sure it will. She's going to do those 2 races, and then she's done with triathlon, because she said, I don't have the energy to train for triathlon and fight for my life. So you just never know the story of someone based on one simple thing. Let's learn more about each other. Mark Allen, Mondays with Mark Allen. We'll see you next week.